Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to talk about uses of prepositional phrases. Essentially, and I kind of talked about this, we are going to discuss what adjective and adverb phrases are and how we can use them in sentences. I'm asking you to call to mind what you know about adjectives and adverbs and apply them to prepositional phrases. So we're going to sort of review prepositional phrases and then talk about what makes an adjective phrase and an adverb phrase. So please have your note-taking materials with you, and we will move through this video hopefully rather quickly because it's not so much the concept that I think you're going to struggle with as much as maybe, doing it. So a lot of this is going to be practicing. All right, so prepositional phrase as an adjective and an adverb, we're going to talk about why it matters, and then we're going to practice and apply. So the phrase, as we know, is a group of related words that acts as a single part of speech. We've been talking about that for a little bit. We talked about it with verb phrases, and we talked about it with prepositional phrases. But the important thing that we need to know about this is that it's a group of words acting as one part of speech. So we have to start thinking of not so much in single parts of speech, but phrases acting as single parts of speech. So a prepositional phrase, as we know, is a phrase that consists of a preposition and its object and any modifiers that modify that object. It can also, and it functions as an adjective or an adverb. So, as we know, phrases are groups of words that have one part of speech function. Prepositional phrases function as adjectives and adverbs, which basically asks you to recall what you know about adjective and adverb phrases, or just adjectives and adverbs in general, and apply that to the phrases. So, we use them to be more descriptive in our writing. An adjective phrase modifies a noun or a pronoun. So that's the definition. Or really what you should say is an adjective phrase is a prepositional phrase that modifies a noun or a pronoun. So let's take a look at these examples. The dance club on Main Street holds a contest every weekend. Some of the competitors dance professionally. So let's break this down to the best of our abilities. So I kind of want to illustrate this with like a single adjective and then use the phrase, which you already know because it says it, as the second example of that. So if we take a look at this first sentence, the dance club on Main Street holds a contest every weekend. There's a couple of different adjectives in the sentence, single adjectives, but I want to focus on one. So let's take a look at dance. So what's it modifying? Well, to us, and these are the questions that, if you remember, I asked you to ask when we find adjectives, right? What is it modifying? What question is it answering? Where is it located? So what's it modifying? Well, it looks like it's modifying club. Club is a noun, so therefore, things that modify nouns are adjectives. So we can assume that it's adjective because of that. The second question is, what question does it answer? Well, if we know adjectives, they answer the question, what kind? Or which one? Does it answer that question? What kind of club it is? Yeah, it's telling us it's a dance club. So it answers that question. That way we can tell that we have an adjective. Location, we know that adjectives are clingy. Is it right next to what it's modifying? Yes, it is. So because of that, all of those reasons, or one, we know that dance is an adjective. Let's take a look at that same sort of questioning when we take a look at on Main Street, which is the adjective prepositional phrase. What's it modifying? It looks like it's modifying club. What question is it answering? It's telling us what kind of club we have. We have a club on Main Street. That's going to be an issue with some prepositional phrases because a lot of you are going to think that that's answering the question where. And in some sentences, it might be answering the question where. But for our purposes, it's telling us what kind of club we have. It's the club on Main Street. And it's also right next to what it's modifying. It's being clingy. So because of all those reasons, it's an adjective phrase, much like the second one. Second sentence over here, some of the competitors dance professionally. Of the competitors is telling us, what kind or which some do we have, modifying some, so it's a pronoun. And really when we get into phrases, the questions kind of become a little blurrier in exactly what they're answering. So we have to also be able to uh, sort of rely on figuring out what it's modifying and its location as well. Those are definitely a better use of those two lines of questioning than when we're looking for single adjectives or adverbs. An adverb phrase is a prepositional phrase that modifies a verb, adjective, or another adverb. So it's the exact same definition as an adverb, but we're talking about a prepositional phrase. So if we take a look at the sentences here, let's do the same thing. The city driving finals are the most difficult of all competitions. So we know that the phrase here is of all competitions. And remember, this is also asking you to identify prepositional phrase. That's the first and foremost important skill that you can have here. Let's take a look at location. Is it right by a noun? No, it's not. It's actually right by an adjective, difficult. So that kind of gives us an indication that it is indeed acting as an adverb. Because we know that adjective phrases will be right next to the adjective that they modify. What question is it answering? I think that you could say extent. How difficult is it? You could say how, maybe extent. So both of those are indicating that I also have this prepositional phrase acting as an adverb. And then what's it modifying? Well, it's modifying difficult, and difficult is an adjective. And because difficult's an adjective, only adverbs can modify adjectives. So once again, we have acting as an adjective. So basically, I'm asking you to apply the rules that you already know about finding adjectives and adverbs to prepositional phrases. The placement of a prepositional phrase can affect the meaning of the sentence. So we have to make sure that they modify what we want them to modify. I'm not necessarily interested in this just yet, so we'll cap that at today, and we will practice this tomorrow.